Chapter 1. Madara's Grandson. Konohagakure no Sato. A 5-year-old Naruto was currently running for his life as a mob of angry villagers ran after him wielding pitchforks, torches, bats, and other blunt objects. "Get him!" one mob member shouted. "Kill him!" another shouted. "We'll avenge Yondaime-sama, you demon brat." Naruto ran down an alleyway and managed to lose the crowd of angry civilians in an alley not far from the Hokage's office. Why do they hurt me? Naruto asks himself. What did I ever do to deserve this? Found him. He is hiding in this alley. A voice yells, and the mob charges into the alley with weapons and blunt objects. Now you pay for all those you killed. You crush my husband. I'll kill you. Then the mob charges and starts beating the crap out of Naruto. Naruto couldn't think because of the pain. Eventually, the crowd leaves a battered, bruised, and bleeding Naruto in the alleyway. What did I ever do to deserve this? Naruto cried to himself as he slipped into the sweet bliss of unconsciousness. After a few seconds, a man with 2 large Venus flytrap-like extensions that envelop his head and upper body, giving him a plant-like appearance. He has short green hair, yellow eyes, and that his body has 2 different colored halves. His left side is completely white, while the right side is almost entirely black. Madara-sama's not going to be happy about this. Black Zetsu said to his other half. You don't think he'll kill us, do you? White Zetsu asked. If we hurry, we can still save him for our sake. I hope we aren't too late. Zetsu grabbed Naruto and took him in the folds of his cloak and sunk into the ground with Naruto. Mountain Graveyard. Madara was in his robes connected to the ghetto statue as he started coughing. I hope Zetsu makes it in time. Madara says as he coughs up some blood. I pray I can save my grandson. Just then Zetsu emerged from the ground, an unconscious and bleeding Naruto slung over his shoulder. I've retrieved Naruto-san, Madara-sama. But based on his injuries, he won't last long. He needs blood transfusions, and some of his flesh has been torn off, and his skull has suffered blunt force trauma. Though it looks like something has already started to heal the damage, but whatever it is isn't strong enough to save him. Madara's eyes widened in horror and fear at the thought of losing his grandson. Place him on the table, Madara said, walking over to the operating table that he once used to save Obito. Get me 3 vials of my blood and 4 vials of Hashirama's blood, as well as some of his tissue. You don't intend? Black Zetsu said, shocked. Yes, I will save my grandson at any cost. Madara's eyes started spinning madly. Yes, Madara-sama. Zetsu ran over to the ghetto statue and grabbed a hollowed-out Zetsu body, then the vials of blood Madara kept, and carried them over to Naruto. All right, now place the body around Naruto, and I will use a very powerful medical ninjutsu to merge the outer and inner skin layers that will stop the bleeding and heal his internal injuries. Madara scanned Naruto over and watched carefully as Zetsu placed the hollowed-out body over Naruto's, and once it was complete, Madara started weaving hand signs. Ninpo, Hata Yugo no Jutsu. Ninja Art, Skin Fusion Jutsu. Naruto glowed a bright blue as the skin of Zetsu and Naruto's skin merged when the light died down. Naruto's wounds had sealed themselves, and then Madara took out 2 blood bags and put Hashirama's blood in one and his own in the other, then inserted the needles into Naruto, and the blood started replacing the blood Naruto lost. Incredible, the boy took in your blood and Hashirama's without a single adverse side effect. He's my grandson after all. Madara then saw a spark of all too familiar red chakra. Zetsu, lift the boy's shirt. But dash. Do it, Madara roared. Why yes, sir. Zetsu lifted up Naruto's shirt, and Madara saw the hack fuin in all its glory. From what little I know of sealing jutsu, this is an 8 tetragram seal, and if that chakra I saw is what I think it is, then my grandson is my pet's Jinchuriki. Then Obito will go after this boy in order to complete Project Tsuki no Mi. Then my path is clear. Madara looked back at Naruto's sleeping face. I must train this boy, he is my legacy, I won't let Obito hurt him. Just then Naruto's eyes shot open, and he saw Madara and Zetsu standing over him. Are your eyes open, young one? Where am I? Naruto asked. Madara Uchiha. Kurama roared in fury. I fucking kill you. Naruto fell off the table in shock and fear. What was that? Naruto looked around frantically. Madara started laughing at his grandson's antics. That was probably the QB yelling at me. Madara said, chuckling. You see, he and I don't have the greatest history together. I haven't seen you laugh like this, it's actually kind of scary. Zetsu said, sort of creeped out. That's because I haven't laughed like this in a long time. Madara got a sad look on his face. Not since Rika died. Who's Rika? Naruto asked, his shock from Kurama's voice broken. She was my wife, and I cared for her deeply. Madara looked at Naruto. Now I'm sure you are wondering who I am and where you are, so I'll answer you. My name is Madara Uchiha, and you are in my mountain hideout, near the Shimatsu no Tani, Valley of the End. Why am I here, and why do you even care if I live or die? You asked that like I shouldn't. Madara says, surprised. Because most people don't care what happens to me, they'd sooner see me dead than help me. Well, I'll tell you who I am to you. As I said, my name is Madara Uchiha, and the reason I care what happens to you is because you're my grandson. Chapter 2, Madara's Past. I'm your what? Naruto shouted. You are my grandson. Your father was my son who I thought had perished with my wife during an attempt on my life. Madara said. Who was my father? Your father's name was Minato Namikaze, otherwise known as the Yondaime Hokage. Naruto's world collapsed around him as Madara's words fell on his ears. You're joking, right? Naruto laughed a bit, but when he saw that Madara and Zetsu were silent, he stopped. I'm deadly serious, Naruto. Your father was the Yondaime Hokage and my son. How did you find out? You said that you thought he died. I found out thanks to Zetsu because on the day I thought he died, I never found his body. I only found my wife's, so I assumed that my son lived, but I couldn't find him. I searched everywhere I could to find a blonde-haired boy with black eyes, but to my dismay, I couldn't. But after years searching, I finally found him, but it was too late. I only found out about my son 3 years ago. I'm sorry I couldn't be there for you, Naruto, but now I want to spend the rest of my life the little family I have left. Madara smiled. How do I know you're telling the truth? Naruto asked suspiciously. You don't believe me? Many have tried to deceive the boy in thinking they care for him only for them to treat him like dirt. White Zetsu said. They treat him like scum. The boy is now wary of everyone who he meets as they might try to hurt him. Black Zetsu continued. Show me. Do you still have the Sandaime's journal that I stole for you? Oh yeah, Madara said as he grabbed the journal and flipped through a few pages and found what he was looking for. A/N. Special thanks to Snake for letting me borrow this from Rise of the Lord of Foxes. It's a good story and I suggest you give it a read. Day 1, my reinstatement. It has been several days since the sealing, and I find myself bound with a great pain in my heart knowing that I did not perform the sealing of the QB instead of Minato. Even more, so that I lacked the necessary fortitude to protect his son from those who would try to harm him, thinking he is the monster they all fear will come back to kill them all. They are fools, plain and simple. I know that those that oppose my law will leak the information to shadows lurking beneath the surface of the village. They want an outlet for the sadness, and they will use this innocent boy for it. And it is the fact that I can't protect him is one of my greater failures in life. Not because I lack the will of fire I had come to embrace in my younger years, but deep down, and Kami helped me. A part of me hates the boy too, to some degree. I am ashamed of myself for thinking like that, knowing that while I love the boy with every fiber of my being, a little part of the darkness that all of the village will soon feel for him is there as well. Sarutobi Sandaime. Year 4, my near failure. I saw through my crystal ball the orphanage caretaker try to strangle Naruto with her bare hands, calling him those horrible names that my law strictly forbids, and over a thing like asking for some food. Food that the bitch of a woman denied the boy apparently for 3 days straight, not wanting him to reach his full potential. My AMBU that I assigned to watch him don't seem to care what happens to the boy, and the crueler children will see him when he is older as a target they can prey on without repercussions. Had not for intervention of a female chunin named Kurenai, who wanted to play with the children there that day, I would have failed to protect the boy. I punished that bitch of a caretaker accordingly and execute her for her crimes before the council could try to overrule my decision. However, word gets out, and the possibility of Naruto surviving are sliming further as no one wants to help the boy out of fear of being labeled a demon lover, as one newly demoted Jounin to Genin called the boy. I nearly fail Minato and Kushina. But I will make amends for it now and show those old fools why I am called the Kami no Shinobi. Sarutobi Sandame. Madara glowered in rage as he read every paragraph at every word that dictated his grandson's horrible life. This doesn't even scratch the surface of Naruto's suffering. He's been for 5 long years. He lived on his own, trying to scrounge up enough food to eat a decent meal once every 2 days, and that was if he was lucky. He's been beaten, bruised, poisoned, burned, crucified, stabbed and all before he could even barely walk. And don't get me started on the hospital. He have been there more times than most people will be in their lifetime. And the care he received there was abysmal. And that's putting it kindly. If not for the fox, he would be dead. All because the fucking villagers can't tell the difference between a kunai and the scroll it's sealed in. Madara's look of rage contorted into a look of loathing and fury. How dare they? Madara unleashed a huge torrent of Ki. Naruto fainted, and Zetsu was having trouble breathing. MMOSSSSSS Summa SSSSSSSS Stop Killing Zetsu choked out, and Madara stopped his Ki, and after a few minutes Naruto woke up. What was that? Naruto asked. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, but they've hurt you, and I just got so angry I unleashed my full Ki. Can you forgive me? That was awesome. Naruto shouted excitedly. You gotta show me how to do that, Madara Gigi. He's so like Eureka. Rest in peace, my love. Madara thought as he watched his grandson going on and on about how cool his Gigi was. All right, Naruto, settle down. Madara grew a tick mark when Naruto kept bouncing. Settle down. Madara roared, unleashed a tiny fraction of Ki to shut Naruto up. All right, now that I have you attention, it's time for me to begin your training under me. Before we begin, there is something I need to tell you. What is that, Madara Gigi? By the time that this exercise program is complete, you will hate me, you will wish me dead, but in the end there is one thing you can't argue with. What is that? The results. When I'm done with your training, you will be the most powerful shinobi of your age group. All right, Gigi, what do I need to do to get started? First off, I'm going to have Zetsu get you some weights, but in the meantime you and I will discuss the Sharingan, as it is your birthright. What's the Sharingan? The Sharingan's abilities consist of 2 parts, the Eye of Insight and the Eye of Hypnotism. The first of the Sharingan's powers is being able to see chakra flow. The Sharingan itself gives color to chakra, allowing the wielder to differentiate them. They are also able to tell if a person is under a Jinjutsu, because the person's chakra flow would be irregular. The Sharingan's second most prominent ability grants the user an incredible clarity of perception, allowing them to easily recognize Jinjutsu and different forms of chakra, though not to the same extent as the Byakugan. This also allows the user to pick up on subtle details, enabling them to read lip movements. Madara explains. What do you mean? Naruto tilts his head confused. In other words, you can copy hand signs, pencil movements, and see through pretty much any Jinjutsu place on you or others. Madara says, dumbing it down as he remembers he's talking to someone who hadn't grown up in Uchiha. I've got an awesome eye technique. I'm going to be Hokage for sure. Naruto says, thrusting his fist in the air. Hokage. Madara's eyes widen in shock. You want to be Hokage? Why? Because that way everyone will acknowledge me for my power. Even I haven't been a Kage, and I know that's a stupid reason for trying to be one. Hey, listen, I'll tell you something that Hashirama told me. People don't get acknowledged because they are Hokage, rather acknowledged people become Hokage. However, the true definition of Hokage is someone who will lay down their lives for his comrades and will struggle on until the very end to protect his home, and those who burn with the will of fire. I think I understand. I promise I'll do what you ask me. Just then Zetsu walked in with some weighted clothing. I bought the weighted clothing as you asked, Madara-sama, and I'm ready to begin training with Naruto-sama when you are. Excellent, Zetsu, good work. Now Naruto. Madara turned to Naruto with a sadistic smile on his face. Shall we dance? Konohagakure no Sato, 3 days later. Sarutobi was pacing his office, worry etched deep in his withered face. Naruto, where are you? What has happened to you? Sarutobi thought as he paced around the room. Just then there was a knock at the door. Enter. Sarutobi said, quickly hopping for news on Naruto. Then an Umbu with silver-spiked hair walked in. Sandaime-sama, we've looked all over the village. No one has seen hide no hair of Naruto. He's not at his home. He hasn't been by Ichiraku Ramen at all. We've even used the Inuzuka clan, and his scent just vanished in an alleyway not far from your office, but that's where the trail runs cold. I'm sorry, Sandaime-sama, but I'm afraid that Naruto is gone. Inu responded. Damn, Sarutobi swore, and then he punched a hole in the wall next to him. Then Sarutobi started crying openly. I'm sorry, Minato. Kushina, I've failed you, and now Naruto has paid the price for my arrogance. Sarutobi wiped his eyes and turns to Inu. Summon the council for an emergency meeting. Yes, sir. Inu runs out of the room. Half an hour later, the council had assembled in the council room. What is the meaning of this, Sarutobi? Danzo asked. I'm here in regards to one Naruto Uzumaki. Finally decided to kill the demon? One member of the civilian council asked smugly, which was met with a lot happy murmuring. Just then Inu appeared behind the man and slit his throat. He kill him, Mabuki said shocked. He was guilty of breaking an S-rank law which calls for death upon breaking. Sarutobi said. Inu, next time send them to Ibiki and Anko rather than killing them. Yes, Sandaime-sama. Inu bowed and returned to Sarutobi's side. I have unfortunate news. Naruto Uzumaki has been disappeared from the village. The demon is gone, another member of the civilian council said happily, and the civilian side burst out cheering. Then Sarutobi stood up and unleashed a torrent of Ki. Silence, Sarutobi shouted, and the civilian council looked on in horror, and the shinobi side smiled, even the stoic Hayashi. The Kami no shinobi was back. Damn it all to hell, Sarutobi, what did you do? Danzo seethed. I'll have to send Root out to look for the boy. We the civilian council call for an annulment of the law that you set up 5 years ago. Mabuki said. All in favor. One by one the members of the civilian council voted for the annulment. Then it came to Danzo, everyone looked at him, and after a few minutes Danzo smirked. I, Danzo Shimura, personal advisor to the Sandaime Hokage, support the annulment of the law. Danzo said then, he turned to Koharu and Hamura nodding ever so slightly. I, Hamura Mitokado, personal advisor to the Sandaime Hokage, support the annulment of the law. Hamura said. I, Koharu Uchiha, personal advisor to the Sandaime Hokage, support the annulment of the law. I, Fugaku Uchiha, head of the Uchiha clan, support the annulment of the law, Fugaku said. All opposed. Mabuki said. I, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Sandaime Hokage and head of the Sarutobi clan, reject the annulment of the law. Sarutobi said. I, Shibi Aburame, head of the Aburame clan, reject the annulment of the law. Shibi said. I, Shikaka Nara, head of the Nara clan, reject the annulment of the law. Shikaka said. I, Sum Inuzuka, head of the Inuzuka clan, reject the annulment of the law. Sum said. I, Inoichi Yamanaka, head of the Yamanaka clan, reject the annulment of the law. Inoichi said. I, Chozuru Akimichi, head of the Akimichi clan, reject the annulment of the law. I, Hayashi Hyuga, head of the Hyuga clan, reject the annulment of the law. In a 10-7 vote, the law is annulled. Danzo said. Now I, Mabuki Haruno, call for the arrest of the Umbu Inu for murder of a member of the civilian council. Denied. Sarutobi said flatly. You can't do that. Mabuki screeched. Oh, but I very much can. You see, Inu is an Umbu, and as such I'm the only who gets a vote in this matter, and as such I vote that he can't be charged as the law was still in effect, and as such Inu, you are free to go. This emergency meeting of the council is now closed. You are all dismissed except you. Danzo. When the other leaves, Sarutobi rounds on Danzo, a furious look on his face. If I ever find out you had a hand in this. Sarutobi let the threat hang in the air as he walked out. Chapter 3. Rise of Naruto Uchiha. Time skip 7 years later. Naruto's hair had grown out and went down the length of his spine, and he had unlocked his Sharingan at age 7 and unlocked the second Tomo a month later, and at 8 he unlocked the 3 Tomo. Naruto stood at impressive 5 foot 2 inches, and he had mastered several jutsu that Madara and Zetsu taught him. Madara was standing before Naruto, who was doing a set of push-up, while Zetsu sat on his back. Come on, Naruto, only 50 more. Madara said sadistically. Naruto was sweating as he had already done 450 of them. That's what you said F 5 minutes ago. Naruto huffed out. Well, if you'd stop complaining, you'd be done by now. Madara countered. Fine. Naruto went back to what he was doing. You want some of my chakra to heal your limbs? Kurama asked. No thanks, Kurama, I'm good. Naruto responded back. Over the years, Naruto and Kurama developed a deep bond as Biju and Jinchuriki. At first, they were like cats and dogs. Flashback 2 years. Naruto had just finished his morning warm-up, and he looked at his grandfather. What do you want me to do now, Gigi? Naruto asked. We're going to talk to the fox today, and you're going to learn to harness its power. Madara responded. Are you sure, Gigi? Naruto asked, a little frightened. Don't worry, Naruto, your Gigi will protect you. Madara smiled. I might not possess two Sharingan, which brings out the true potential of the eye, but I'm wise and I still have the power to stop the Kyuubi. Madara smiled. Now sit down and focus, then we will venture into your mind, and then we'll talk to it. All right. Naruto sat down and closed his eyes, and when he opened them, he was in a sewer, and Madara was standing next to him. Ready, Naruto? Why, yeah. Naruto and Madara walked forward, and after a few twists and turns, they arrived before a gigantic golden gate with a tag 4 seal over the gates. Come forward, Kyuubi. Madara Uchiha. Kurama roared, clawing at the gates in his fury, and huge gashes appear on the bars. And then Kurama charges up a Bijudama, and he blasts the gates, and then the seal tag rips in half, and then the gates forwards nearly flying of their hinges. Just then a man with blonde spiked hair and a standard Konohanin uniform with 2 bands each on both of his sleeves, a leaf green flak jacket, blue forehead protector, and blue sandals. He also wore a short-sleeved long white haori over his normal attire, decorated by orange flames-like motifs on the edges, with the kanji for 4th Hokage written vertically down the back and closed on the front by a thin, orange rope. Yondiame Hawk. I'll shut you, fluffball. Minato said. Why don't we go somewhere more private? Minato snapped his fingers, and the Kurama's cage disappeared, and they were in a gold environment. Then Minato looked and saw Madara and Naruto. Which one of you, Naruto? That would be the boy. Madara says, fighting back tears at seeing his son. But how the seal shouldn't have broken that easily? It's because of me. I enraged the fluffball over there so much that he tried to obliterate the seal just to kill me. And who are you? Madara Uchiha. Minato's eyes widened in shock. Impossible, he died fighting Hashirama-sama. Never mention that shinobi's name in front of me ever again. He's telling the truth, Dad, Naruto said. Minato snapped his attention towards Naruto. How? Minato asked. Gigi told me. Naruto looks at Madara. Don't you have something to say, Gigi? Minato looks between the two, obviously confused. Minato Namikaze, I know this won't be easy for you to hear, but I'm your father, Madara said, and Minato's eyes widened in shock. How? Don't you remember me? Your mother, anything? I remember a woman with blonde hair and a man, and beyond that everything is fuzzy. Maybe you'll remember this. Madara inhaled and then said in a sweet voice. Bamboo leaves are rustling, swaying close to the roof's edge. Oh, how the stars are twinkling, twinkling. Gold and silver grains of sand. 5 wishes. I have written. The stars are twinkling and watching from the sky. As Madara sang the song, Minato's eyes started tearing up as the memories came flooding back. That song. Minato's eyes tear up even more. My mother sung that song to me every night before I'd go to bed, but one day I woke up not in my home, but in an orphanage. Do you know what happened to my mother? This won't be easy to hear, but she died protected you from Amigakure shinobi, who were after me. You were so young then. However, you saw me all the time. There's now a way you shouldn't recognize me. Hang on. Madara makes hand signs. Hinge no jutsu. Madara took the form of his younger self, armor and all. Father. Minato grabbed his head in pain. Minato. Madara dashed over and saw a seal on Minato's neck. This is a memory alteration seal, but there is a second seal, a Kekii Genkai seal. Now I get it, your memories and Kekii Genkai were sealed by someone in Konoha. Release. Madara channeled the Geto statue's chakra though the seal and shattered it. Minato's eyes glazed over, and when they cleared, Minato hugged Madara. "To-san." Minato started crying. "Minato." Madara started crying too, but then Minato started flickering. "My chakra is fading. I'll rebuild the seal one last time. And To-san, take good care of Naruto. This is my last request of you." Minato smiled, then placed his hand on Naruto's stomach and twisted his hand, and the seal was repaired. "Goodbye, Naruto, To-san." And with that, Minato faded. In flashback, Madara had secluded himself for a couple of days afterward, and Kurama never stopped trying to break the seal, but about a year of Naruto, trying to really get to Kurama's heart, and every time Kurama would just glare and growl, but eventually Kurama looked into Naruto's heart and only found a small sliver of darkness, and when Kurama looked at it he saw, to his shock, that the darkness didn't have anything to do with using his Sharingan or even the Mokuton that had developed when Naruto got the Zetsu cells fused with his own. Over the time, Kurama examined Naruto's chakra and felt a rush of calm flow over his dark heart, and Kurama watched as Naruto worked for his power with his blood, sweat, and tears. Kurama watched as Naruto's heart never succumbed to the inner darkness, and then he remembered Hagoromo's last words. "I don't have long anymore." Shikaku, Matatabi, Isabu, Son Goku, Kokuo, Saiken, Komiai, Gyuki, Kurama, even though you have been separated, you shall always be together. Until eventually that time shall come when you will become one. You each carry a name, and with a different shape than you had up to now, you will be shown a righteous path, different from the time you spent inside of me. I hope you learn what true power is before that time. Maybe I underestimated you, Naruto Uchiha, and maybe I misjudged you. Madara, you never once abandoned your family, you loved them. To a kitsune such as myself, abandoning one's family is the worst crime. Naruto kept working on his push-up, and when he finished, Zetsu got off his back. Naruto hopped to his feet and looked at Madara. "Well done, Naruto, your training under me is done, but now I want to tell you about Project Tsukinomi." Project Tsukinomi? This world is full of things that don't go as you wish. The longer you live, the more you realize reality is just made of pain, suffering, and emptiness. Listen, in this world, whenever there is light, there are also shadows. As long as the concept of winners exists, there must also be losers. The selfish desire of wanting to maintain peace causes wars, and hatred is born to protect love. I found a way to end that hatred. I wanted to create a world of love, a world of winners, a world of peace. I wanted to capture the 9 Biju and recreate the Jubi and use the Mugen Tsukuyomi to create this world, but now I want nothing more than to that project to fail. I won't hurt my grandson at all. You are precious to me. So my grandson, go on and avenge my son, your father, kill Obito Uchiha, and Project Tsuki no Mi dies with him. Madara smiles. Now get some sleep, Naruto, it's late. Hi, Gigi. Naruto ran off towards his room, but Madara stayed there and looked at Zetsu with a somber look on his face. "You know what to do, Zetsu, fetch my original eyes. It's time I do what I must, to give my grandson my final gift." "Yes, Madara-sama." Zetsu walks off and Madara waits until he hears the snoring of his grandson. Then he grabbed his kunai and walked into Naruto's room, and then lunged at his grandson's sleeping form and plunged the kunai at his heart. Acting on instinct, Naruto dodged the kunai and disarmed his attack, and then stabbed Madara in the heart. When the light from the other room hit Madara's face, Naruto saw who his attacker was. And no, Naruto started crying. "Gigi, why? What have I done?" "Naruto, forgive me." Madara choked out and drew his last breath. Ji. Naruto's Sharingan activated and then started spinning, forming a four-blade windmill shuriken, and the blades were curved and they looked like shark fins. Just then Zetsu walked in and saw Madara's dead body. "It's all right, Naruto, this is what Madara-sama wanted. He wanted to die by your hand so you would unlock the Mangekyo Sharingan. His final wish was to give you his original eyes so you won't go blind. For the next few weeks, I'll be training you in the Mangekyo's abilities." Naruto started crying at the dead body of his grandfather. "Come on, Naruto, remember all that Madara taught you." "I know, Zetsu." Naruto wiped his tears away and got a very cold look on his face. "Zetsu, I want you to bury Gigi's body somewhere no one will ever find it, but make it something worthy of him." Yes, Naruto-sama now will transfer Madara's original eyes. It will take a few days for you to adjust to them. Then we'll need to discuss your living situation because Konoha has branded you Kia. I know Zetsu, just let me mourn Gigi. Madara loved you, Naruto. Don't let his sacrifice be in vain. Become stronger. I know you can. All right, Zetsu, give me Gigi's original eyes. Yes, Naruto-sama. Chapter 4, Naruto and Fu. Time skip 1 year later. Naruto quickly got used to his grandfather's eyes and mastered his time reversal power. Naruto had yet to discover the power of his own Mangekyo, which he ordered Zetsu to dispose of the original as soon as Naruto had Madara's eyes. Naruto donned his grandfather's armor and covered the Uchiha clan's symbol with his hair and a small jinjutsu. Naruto looked at Zetsu and then at the road, thinking on his grandfather and his plans. Zetsu, I will be traveling the shinobi world learning the locations of the other Jinchuriki. If you have any suggestions on where I should start, I'd love to hear them. According to my intel, the Nanabai Jinchuriki is in Takigakure no Sato. That would be the first place I'd go build a reputation. Then when you're ready, return to Konoha and show them the power of Naruto Uchiha. Thank you, Zetsu. Keep me posted on Obito's movements and keep my movements a secret for as long as possible. We can't let Obito lose trust in you yet. Yes, Naruto-sama. Zetsu sunk into the ground. Naruto took one last look at the mountain graveyard as it went up in smoke. Then he leapt off towards the Shimatsu no Tani. When he arrived, he looked at the statue of his grandfather, then leapt up the side and into the ear and found his grandfather's body lying there peacefully in a bed of flowers. Hey Gigi, it's me. I hope you can forgive me. I know this is what you wanted, but I still miss you. I'll become strong. I'll make you proud, Gigi. Naruto left. Then he started traveling, and after a few days he arrived at Takigakure, where the guards stopped him. Halt, state your business in Takigakure. I am here to seek an audience with your leader in requesting residence. Why grounds do you have to request entry? I didn't want to do this, but Naruto activated his Sharingan, and he locked eyes with the guards whose eyes widened in shock at seeing the legendary Kekkai Genkai of the Uchiha clan. Jinjutsu, Sharingan. Feel free to enter. Thank you. Naruto smiled and walked into the village and towards where he sensed the highest chakra signature, when, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a girl who wore an orange clip in her short, spiky mint green hair that matched her eye color, which was also orange. Her ninja outfit consisted of a short sleeveless white midriff shirt with fishnet armor underneath, long white armlets, and fishnet shorts with a short white apron skirt over it. Her forehead protector was worn on her right arm. She also carried a cylindrical object in red wrapping on her back. The girl was scrounging around in the garbage while Naruto saw the people around her giving her dirty looks and the same glares he received from Konoha. When the girl saw Naruto, she noticed how he didn't have a look of hatred on his face. Hey mister, could you help me? I'm alone, and I'm hungry. These people treat me like dirt. I know that feeling. Kid, I sense demon chakra coming off of her. Kurama said. From the feel of this chakra, it's the Nanabai. That explains the looks. Nice to meet you, Nana. Nice to meet you too, Q. Fu said. Naruto reached into his pouch and pulled out a bag full of Ryo that Zetsu had given him. Here, buy yourself some food. Naruto smiled. Thanks, mister. Fu smiled. Call me Naruto. I'm Fu. Anyway, do you know where your leader resides? Fu's lip turned dark. Yeah, I know where he is, but I doubt he'll listen to a word you say. You're a Jinchuriki after all, and you've associated yourself with me, so I really doubt he'll care. I have my methods. Naruto activated his Sharingan. Those eyes. Yes, I wield the Sharingan Kekkai Genkai, so I can convince the leader to let me stay. You'll find the leader in that tower over there. Fu pointed to the small tower that was intertwined with a large tree in the center. Thanks, Fu. Naruto smiled at her. It's been fun, Naruto. Now I'm gonna get something to eat. Likewise, Fu. Naruto walked off towards where Fu pointed out, and when he arrived, the two guards outside looked at him with contempt. We don't have time for a demon lover. The guard snarled. Naruto got an impassive look on his face. Let me talk to your leader before things get ugly. Naruto flares his Sharingan and unleashes a torrent of Ki. Right this way. That's what I thought. Naruto smiled sickly, then he walked into the office. So why are you here? The man behind the desk said. I'm here to join Takigakure. Sir, he's associated with the Jinchuriki. One of his guards said to the leader in his ear. Shibaka's eyes narrowed slightly, but he said nothing. So what can you bring to our village? Shibaka asked. This. Naruto activated his Sharingan and then made the snake hand seal. Mokutan Mokujihiki. Wood style, wood wall. That's the Shodame Hokage's Mokutan. Shibaka stuttered. Yes, I wield the Sharingan and Hashirama's Mokutan. The council must hear of this. Shibaka got up and looked at one of his shinobi. Gather the council. Tell them we're going to get a new Kekkei Genkai. Yes, sir. 10 minutes later, Naruto was standing in a circular room with a bunch of people standing around him. So Naruto, Uchiha, you have petitioned to join Takigakure. What can you contribute to this village? One council member asked. I have these blessed eyes. Naruto activates his Sharingan, and everyone gasped. The Sharingan. He truly is an Uchiha. A second council member said. He'll be an asset to this village. A third council member said. Let's put the matter to a vote. Shibaka said. All in favor. All at once, everyone raised their hands, allowing Naruto to stay. Then it's decided. Naruto, Uchiha, welcome to Takigakure. Here is your headband. Shibaka tossed Naruto a Taki forehead protector. Thank you, Shibaka-sama. Naruto bowed, then he walked out, and to his surprise, Fu was standing outside. You're a Taki shinobi, Fu said happily as she saw his forehead protector. Yeah, I am now. I was wondering if you wanted to do some training with me? Sure, I can teach you about Taki. Then let's go. Time skip 3 months later. Naruto and Fu had developed a close bond, become great friends. Naruto and Kurama helped Fu and Chome with learning to control Komiai's chakra. Naruto noticed the dirty looks he and Fu got when they were walking down the road getting food, but Naruto used his Sharingan to get fair prices with the locals. But when the council saw Naruto's overprotective nature, they got nervous, and so here Naruto found himself in the council room. Naruto, Uchiha, it has come to our attention that you have become rather close to Fu. We of the council have to protest such closeness. What we are about to tell you is highly ranked secret. Fu is the Jinchuriki of the Nanabi. She is a ticking time bomb of demonic chakra. With all due respect, I'm sealing expert, and I've learned a lot. And one of the first things I learned was how to recognize a faulty seal, and Fu has exhibited nothing of the sort. And how would you know the signs of a faulty seal? Sealing is in my blood. My mother was an Uzumaki, and my grandfather took me to the ruins of Yuzushogyakure. It was on my 8th birthday, my grandfather, and I went to Yuzushogyakure, and there I found an ancient archive of Fuinjutsu that only one of Uzumaki blood could unlock. And then I took my family's records and techniques, and spent 3 years learning Fuinjutsu, and 3 years is a long time, especially if I used Kage Bunshin's shadow clones to speed up the training. So in really, I took 40 years of Fuinjutsu experience and compressed it into only 3 years. How could you have so much chakra, let alone know a B-ranked Kenjutsu of Konoha? We Uzumaki have a certain curse. We are cursed with abnormally high chakra levels. And as for me knowing a B-rank Kenjutsu of Konoha, most other nations know that jutsu, so my Jiji knew it, and he taught it to me. Well, regardless of your knowledge of seals, the council has voted to banish you from the village, as Fu can't afford to have any distractions. She is our Jinchuriki. She is this village's muscle. Fine, if you want to lose the Sharingan, it's not my problem. You have until morning to be gone, or we will kill you. Okay, bye. Naruto took off the forehead protector and tossed it back to Shibaka. It's been fun. Naruto walked out, and then walked to where the house where he slept, and he packed his things, and when he walked out he saw Fu standing there. Hey Naruto. Fu smiled, then she saw his backpack and the apartment he had emptied out of his possessions. Hey Fu. You going somewhere? The village has kicked me out, so I'm going to travel the shinobi world, gather allies, and see if I can one day return to my original home. I'm going with you. But Fu. No buts, I'm going with you. If you leave, the villagers will just hurt me worse than before. Besides, there is nothing for me here. Alright, I'll trick the guards with a Kage Bunshin while you escape with me under a Henge no Jutsu. Transformation Jutsu. Alright, when do we leave? Now. Okay, let's go. Fu transformed into a random civilian, and Naruto used Jinjutsu to hide her chakra. Then Naruto and Fu left the village, but at separate times as not to arouse suspicion, and Naruto used a transformed Kage Bunshin to fool the guards into thinking Fu was still in the village. After a while, Naruto undid the Jinjutsu, while Fu undid the hinge. I'm free. Yeah, you are now. Let's get moving. We've got a lot of ground to cover, and not a lot of time to do it. Chapter 5. Haku and Zabuza. Time skip 1 month later. Naruto and Fu were traveling somewhere near Nami no Kuni when suddenly a huge mist rolled in. Naruto activated his Sharingan and stared around and saw. To his shock, the mist was chakra-laced and Naruto couldn't see a thing, but his sensory abilities told him there were two powerful chakra signatures nearby. Two lonely little brats, but from the feel of your chakra, you're not normal brats. A voice came from the mist. Who's there? Fu asked, slightly scared as a torrent of Ki was unleashed upon the two of them. What gall you have asking me who I am when I'm about to kill you? The voice responded. If you hand over your supplies and money, I'll let you live. Naruto drew his gun by. Well, do you wish to dance? Naruto asked, then he swung his gun by. Futon, fan wind. Naruto unleashed a huge blast of wind that destroyed the mist. When it disappeared, Naruto saw a man with a large cleaver slung over his shoulder. Well, well, what do we have here? You're not some average little brat, are you? Shall we dance? Naruto asked, charging the man gun by in one hand and his scythe in the other. Naruto into the air, swinging down with his scythe, anticipating Zabuza to raise his Kubikurabocho to block, but Zabuza dodges a smirk on his face and swings his Kubikurabocho with the intent to cut Naruto in half. But Naruto spins in the air and uses the momentum to bring his gunbai down and deflected the sword with the end of his gunbai and goes in swing with the scythe again. You're good, kid, really good. Zabuza grunts. The same could be said of you. Naruto swiftly dodges the sword slash and counters with his gunbai wind wall, blasting Zabuza backwards. Naruto takes the temporary lax in battle to form hand signs after he created a shadow clone. Ninpo Futon no Katon collaboration. Okina Ryu Iki. The two Narutos roar, channeling as much chakra as possible to their jutsu, blasting as much fire in order to destroy Zabuza entirely. After Zabuza dodges the extreme blast of fire, he and Naruto clash again and again while Fu watches with shock and envy at Naruto's power. But eventually Zabuza overwhelmed Naruto and held his sword up to Naruto's throat. You're not bad, kid. Who trained you? My grandfather, Madara Uchiha. You're Madara Uchiha's grandson. Yes. But he died at the Shimatsu no Tani. No, he didn't. Hashirama didn't confirm the kill, and Gigi survived. Naruto got a sad look on his face. But 1 year ago I killed him, but it was accident, and I unlocked these cursed eyes. Naruto's eyes shifted to his Iron no Mangekyo. A kid like yourself really shouldn't travel alone. Why don't you join me? And Haku, you both possess strength, but the girl needs to learn to resist Ki, but I can train her. Thank you, but I never got your name. My name is Zabuza Momochi the Kirigakure no Kijin. My name is Naruto Uchiha, and this is my friend Fu Shi, and I are technically Rouge Shinobi from Takigakure. I was banished, so I have no village association, but Fu is a registered Takigakure Nukenin. As in Rinpun no Fu. I've heard of you, kid. Zabuza turns to Fu. You've got a high bounty on your head from Takigakure, but it says you are to captured you alive. That's because I'm a Jinchuriki. They want me back so they can place a control seal on me, so I never run away or have free will. Well then, you and Naruto are welcome to join us. Zabuza turned to a nearby tree. Haku, come out and introduce yourself to your new teammates. Haku jumped down and held out his hand. Hello Naruto-san. Fu-san, I am Haku, and before you ask, I am a boy. Haku said, smiling. Nice to meet you too, Haku. Fu smiled. Nice to meet you too, Haku. Naruto smiled. Now, brats, I'll be training you up to an Umbu level. Fu, I want you to start mastering your Rinpun techniques, and then we'll work on some ninjutsu after we discover your affinity. Naruto, I want you to work on your reaction time as well as ocular prowess. For that, you will train with Haku. She's the fastest, so you'll need to train your body to match what your eyes can see. Yes, Zabuza-sensei. Fu and Naruto said. Haku and Naruto faced each other, and Naruto activated his Sharingan. Haku made a single hand sign. Makio Hyosho. Crystal ice mirrors. Haku made a dome of mirrors and Naruto I stung from a moment before involuntarily shifting to his Mangekyo Sharingan before understanding of the technique came with his ocular prowess. Naruto-san, why have you activated your Mangekyo? These eyes. Naruto said shocked. They must allow me to copy elemental Kekkei Genkai. But that's impossible, not even the Sharingan can copy my jutsu. Each Mangekyo Sharingan comes with a unique ability. My grandfather's was the ability to reverse time. Mine must be to copy elemental Kekkei Genkai. Can you prove it? Naruto nodded. They made the same hand sign Haku made. Makio Hyosho. Naruto made the same dome, but instead of the set of 21 Naruto made 30. Such chakra. Haku said shocked. Even at my absolute limit, I can only make 21, but to make 30 with ease, and based on how you're not even sweating, I bet this isn't your limit. Probably not if I were to utilize Kurama's chakra, who knows how many I could make. Well, let's get back to training. Right. Naruto deactivated his Mangekyo, and the mirrors he created shattered. So in order to utilize elemental Kekkei Genkai, you need to have my Mangekyo activated. Interesting. Haku takes advantage of Naruto's distraction to charge, but Naruto jumps out of the way with ease and practices with his reaction time. Time skip 1 month later. Naruto, Fu, Haku, Zabuza, Meizu, and Gozu were all facing a short little man who barely came up to Fu's waist. Over the past month, Fu had mastered Rinpun techniques, including Rinpun Kagure and Rinpun Bakusai. Over the time, they learned that Fu had a wind affinity as well as fire affinity. Naruto's reaction time was on his father's level, and he had learned to master several Hayaton ninjutsu and invented several of his own. All right, then it's agreed. The 6 of you will kill Tazuna, and in exchange I will pay you 22 million Ryo. Gato said. All right, Gato, you got yourself a deal. Zabuza responded. Gato walks out of the room, and his guards follow him. Zabuza-sama, who will we send to kill him? Haku asks. Haku, let's send the demon brothers. I am sure they can handle whatever puny ninja the leaf will send, as Gato has bleed this country dry. They could only pay for a C rank as most. Zabuza says. Yes, Zabuza-sama. Meizu and Guzo responded. Then they departed, and Naruto got a sour look on his face. Then he started to walk out, but Zabuza placed a hand on his shoulder. Naruto, something wrong? Zabuza asked. I know we need the money, but I have a moral problem with this mission. We are shinobi. We aren't meant to allow our emotions to interfere. I'll tell you something I told my grandfather when he told me something similar. My grandfather once told me this. Love is not necessary, power is the only true necessity. However, I countered with this. To suppress our emotions, it will lead to weakness and despair. They will surface every time we try. They will destroy us from the inside out. Love is just as necessary as hate. To suppress one emotion is to suppress them all, and it limits our ability to think clearly and adapt to situations. To my shock, Madara Gigi agreed with me and started tearing up, as those were the same words my bachan Rika told him once. Whoa, that's deep, Naruto, but I guess you have a point, but I have a reputation to uphold. I can't ask you to like this mission, but we have to finish it. All right, Zabuza-sensei, I'll do it, but don't expect me to like it. Naruto walked off towards a small room where he slept and closed his eyes and started meditating, and when he opened his eyes, he was in his forest mindscape, and he walked towards Kurama's cave. Kurama, come on out, we need to talk. Kurama walked forward and looked at his host. What did you want to talk about, Kit? I need to train with your chakra, but to do that properly, I would need the key to your seal. Any idea where I can get that? The last thing I saw before I was sealed was a toad by the name of Give me a minute. Kurama thought for a minute, then his eyes snapped open. Giratora, that was the name, and according to what I remember from Kushina's memories, the holder of the toad contract is Jiraiya of the Sannin. Contacting him will be difficult. Any suggestions? Well, the best way, and certainly the easiest, would be to venture to Konoha and ask the Sandaime to contact him for you. But as you and Konoha don't have the greatest history, that's not a great option. Another way would be to do something that would require Jiraiya to use his spy network to locate you and track you. For that, I suggest you attack some shinobi of Konoha and let them live, but tell them your name, which will force them to report that to Sarutobi, and that will get Jiraiya looking for you. Thanks, Kurama. I think that second option will be easier, As even the Oni Kyodai fail, the Konoha shinobi will be on high alert, and that's when Zabuza-sensei and I make our move. You're clever, kid. I like that about you. Kurama smiled. See ya, Kurama. And then Naruto faded from his mind, and when he opened his eyes, he saw Fu sitting on her bed, Komi-Ai's chakra swirling around her like a whirlwind of energy. As Naruto watched as the first tail sprouted, and a few seconds later the second tail, and another few seconds the third, then fourth, but as the fifth tail emerged, Fu's skin started to turn red as she started losing control. Oh boy. Naruto started weaving hand signs. Mokutan, Mokuryu no Jutsu. Wooden Dragon Jutsu. Naruto held out his hand, and the wooden dragon shot from it, and wrapped around Fu, suppressing the chakra, while simultaneously absorbing it form a small orchid of trees. Thanks, Naruto. Fu huffed out. No problem, next time let me know when you start training with Komi-Ai's chakra. Gotcha. Time skip 3 days later. Failed. What do you mean they failed? Gato shouted at Zabuza. Stop whining. This time I will go personally, and this sword will be the last thing he sees. Zabuza says as he swings his sword and holds just in front of Gato's throat. You sure about that? Apparently the old man hired some protection, and they have several high-ranking ninja with him. Since your first attempt failed, they will be watching. It will take someone with very advanced skills. Who do you think you're dealing with? I am Zabuza Momochi the Kirigakure no Kijin. Zabuza turned to Naruto. Naruto, you come with me for backup. Yes, sensei. Naruto said. Then he ran back into his room and grabbed his gun by, and the scythe Naruto, then shouldered them and followed Zabuza out of the room, and they leaped through the trees, and Zabuza started motioning to Naruto, who nodded and took his position and suppressed his chakra. Just then a boy with the Inuzuka tattoos on his face threw a kunai Zabuza, but he substituted with the snow rabbit they carried with them. Kibabaka, the pink-haired girl shouted. Stop playing with kunai, you nearly killed the poor rabbit. I swear there was someone there, Sakura. Kiba said. Kiba was right, Sakura, and if you used your brain for 5 seconds you'd realize that this rabbit was raised indoors away from the light, meaning its only purpose was for a kawarimi. A girl with a beige jacket and lavender eyes. Oh, shut up, Hinata. Sakura responded. Hinata. Naruto thought. Where have I heard that name before? Naruto had a contemplating look on his face. That's it. Naruto remembered the little girl who he rescued from Bully's back when he was 4. Flashback 9 years ago. Naruto was walking down the road not too far from a nearby section of the forest that encompassed part of Konoha, hands in his pockets, when he hears a noise quite a few feet away. Naruto runs towards the noise and sees a few bullies picking on a girl with short blue hair and pale eyes. So pathetic, as if you could ever be a true Hyuga. "L, leave me alone." The girl responds. "Please leave me alone." One of them mocks, "Please don't hurt me. If you were truly a Hyuga, you would make us stop." They all start laughing at the girl when Naruto steps out of the wall behind them. "Back off," Naruto snarls. "And who are you to defend this pansy of a Hyuga?" the first one says. "Wait, I know that guy," a second one said. "He's that brat my parents told me to stay away from." "Oh, you mean that brat who keeps going on about being Hokage?" "The same. Of this ought to be good, let's teach him a lesson." Naruto started weaving hand signs. Those hand signs. Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto roared out. But as usual, Naruto fucked it up and created a crap clone. "What a joke," the first kid said, laughing. "Let's beat the crap out of him," the second kid said. "Yeah," the third kid agreed. In flashback. "Hinata-chan, I never thought I'd see you again, but what do you really think of me?" Just then Naruto saw Zabuza's Kubikurabocho flying in, but then the gray-haired Jounin yelled out. "Duck!" He dragged his team to the ground, and the others dodged to the right or left depending on their position. Then Zabuza landed on his blade that dug into the tree. Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the bloody mist. Hinata glares at the man in front of her. "Also, a lonely Jinnin knows my name." Zabuza says, bowing. "I see that my illustrious reputation precedes me. A/N. Yes, I got that from Dragon Ball Z, Fusion Reborn, which I don't own either." "Well, when you slaughter your entire graduating class and then try to assassinate I believe it was the 4th Mizukage that tends to get your name in the bingo book of every ninja village across the world." Hinata said with a pause, recalling the Mizukage aspect pertaining to Zabuza. If he is our opponent, then I will need to use my Sharingan. Kakashi thinks, lifting his headband. Kakashi of the Sharingan, am I right? Zabuza asks, then he notices Kurenai. And Kurenai Yuhi Konoha's Jinjutsu Shujin. Naruto, get out here, let's see how your bloodline faces against a Jinjutsu master such as her. Yes, Zabuza-sama. Naruto said, then he jumped down and landed in front the group of 9. Everyone's eyes widened at that name, and when they saw Naruto, Kakashi's eyes started tearing up. And Naruto, Kakashi said, shocked. Naruto-kun. Hinata, though, shocked as she saw her crush again. He looks different, he's calmer, more powerful than before. Hinata activated her Byakugan and examined his chakra levels. Everyone be careful, he's got unbelievable chakra, he's at tailed beast's levels. What? Sasuke and the others looked shocked. Naruto opened his closed eyes as he put his emotions aside, like his grandfather taught him, and activated his Sharingan. When Sasuke saw it, his fear turned to fury. How dare you? Sasuke charged Naruto. Sasuke, don't charge in alone. Kakashi shouted, but Sasuke didn't listen, and Naruto dodged Sasuke's enraged punches with ease. Why can't I hit him? Sasuke threw punch and kicks, but Naruto dodged them with a bored expression on his face. Enough. Naruto scoffed, and he disappeared from Sasuke's sight in a burst of speed. Then he dropped under Sasuke's guard and slammed his fist right into Sasuke's gut. Then he flipped over Sasuke and kicked him in the back, sending Sasuke flying into a tree. When he made contact, Sasuke collapsed into unconsciousness. Sasuke Kun. Sakura shouted and ran to her love. You're dead. Sakura rushed Naruto, but Naruto dodged her strikes with no effort. Then Naruto grabbed his gunbai and swung it. Die. When Naruto swung the gunbai, 3 tornadoes of fire, but because of Sakura's closeness to the gunbai, she was blasted by all 3 tornadoes. Sakura was sent flying, and she landed into the water, her clothes singed, and her skin was suffering from 3rd-degree burns. Naruto, you jerk, I'll fucking kill you. You ruined my hair and clothes. You are pathetic. Naruto stuck his gunbai point into the ground. Zabuza-sama, do I have permission to kill whoever gets in my way? I'm a little busy. Zabuza responded as he was fighting Kakashi on the surface of the water sword against Kunai. But go ahead. Yes, Zabuza-sama. Naruto rushed in at blinding speeds towards Kurenai, who just finished her last hand sign. Megan, Narukumi no Jutsu. The leaves swirled around Naruto, who looked on board when he saw his grandfather on the ground, a kunai in his chest. Naruto, forgive me, Madara choked out. Kit, Kurama said, gaining his host's attention. I know, Kurama. Naruto flared his chakra and unleashed a torrent of Ki that floored even Zabuza. How dare you? Naruto roared, and he started weaving hand signs. Katan, Goka Mekyaku. Fire style, great fire annihilation. Naruto unleashed a gigantic breath of flame towards his foes, obliterating anything and everything in its path. Hinata struggled to her feet, fighting off the Ki with thoughts of protecting her comrades. Shugo, hack, RokuguynsHou. 8 trigrams, 64 palms guard. Hinata unleashed a huge torrent of chakra as the sphere of chakra tore thought the torrent of fire, protecting her teammates. However, Kurenai started running for her life. Bitch! Naruto roared, and he activated his Iron no Mangekyo. Susanoo. Naruto started channeling chakra into the Susanoo's palm. Yatsaka Magatama. Naruto threw the attack, but with her swift reflexives, Kurenai dodged the attack, which rocket past her and destroyed a large section of the forest when it exploded. Naruto, stop this. Hinata shouted, gaining his attention, and he rounded on her his wrath and his chakra on an ungodly level. She dares to show me the greatest regret in my life. Getsuga, Fong over Fong. Kiba's voice roared out, and 2 swirling spirals rocketed toward Naruto, but his Susanoo blocked the attack, and Naruto grabbed Kiba and the transformed Akamaru. Just as Naruto is about to crush them, a blast of water captures Naruto's attention, and he sees Zabuza in danger, so Naruto drops his Susanoo and dashed at full speed and took the attack that Kakashi thrust with his kunai, but Naruto smiled and gripped Kakashi's arm. Dai Hitaki. Naruto started weaving hand signs when suddenly three Senbon him and Zabuza in the neck, knocking them out. I thank you for your assistance in taking them down. I've been waiting for days for them to drop their guard. Haku said behind his hunter mask. You're a hunter ninja, aren't you? Kakashi said. Yes, I am now. I must go. These two are going to the collection office. Haku grabbed Naruto and Zabuza, then shunshined away. Well, this has been an interesting experience, Hinata said. Then she saw Kakashi collapse. Tazuna-san, how far is to your house? Kurenai asked. About a mile, Tazuna responded. Then we'll be there in about an hour if we push ourselves, but we can't travel too fast because we have three injured shinobi. One of them is suffering from major burns, another who knows what, and Kakashi is suffering from chakra exhaustion. Kurenai picked up Sasuke while Kiba and Akamaru picked up Sakura and Kakashi, and they started the long trek back to Zuna's house. With Haku and the others one day later, Naruto woke up and saw Haku standing over Zabuza. Damn it, Haku, what the hell was that for? Naruto asked as he got to his feet. I'm sorry, but if you had lost control, Zabuza-sama might have been hurt. Haku responded. Naruto got up and started walking around. I'm surprised you recovered so quickly. Not even Zabuza-sama can recover at the speed you do. It's because I'm a Jinchuriki. The Biju inside of me heals me and aids in my recovery. Damn it, Haku, did you have to throw those sunbon in my neck? Zabuza grumbles. Oh, you're awake. I thought you would be out for at least another day or two. Haku says, smiling at his master. I can get the needles out. Zabuza reaches up and pulls out a bunch of the sunbon out of his neck. Careful, Zabuza-sama, you shouldn't pull a bunch out of time, or you could die of blood loss. Just then Gato walks in with his two samurai guards following him. You failed. Didn't you tell me that you would take care of it personally, and the last thing that Brat Tazuna would ever see was your sword? Gato yells at Zabuza, walking forward and reaching for Zabuza's mask when Haku grabs his hand. How dare you try to threaten Zabuza-sama? Haku glares at Gato. Kill him, Gato yells at his guards. Haku glares at the guards, unleashing killer intent. The guards faint under the strain. Try that again, and I assure you that they won't get back up. Haku glares. Fine, you have one more chance to complete the job, or the contract's over. Gato walks out. That wasn't necessary, I could have handled it. Zabuza says, lifting up his bedsheet to reveal a kunai. We can't kill Gato just yet, the murders would just draw their attention. Haku says, we have to show restraint for now. Fine, how long do you think I'll be out of commission? A week, but knowing you it will take half that time. Haku smiles. I'm going for a walk. Haku, do you need me to look for any supplies to aid in Zabuza's recovery? Naruto asked. Yes, I'll give you a list of herbs I need and their physical description, but be careful with Konoha out there and your identity compromised. They might attack you if they see you. I'm not worried. Naruto walked out, and after a few minutes of walking and gathering herbs for Haku, Naruto started walking, and eventually he walked into a destroyed clearing, and Naruto saw, to his shock, Hinata was lying there fast asleep. Naruto scanned her over with his Sharingan and saw she was suffering from minor chakra exhaustion and she would awaken momentarily. Naruto walked over to her and he shook her shoulder. When Hinata opened her eyes, she saw Naruto kneeling over her. In Naruto, Hinata jumped up and dropped into a Juken stance. Relax, Hinata, I'm not here to hurt you. Naruto said, getting up and looked at her. Why are you here? The hunter ninja killed you. Haku is our ally. She placed us in a death-like state. Hinata started tearing up. Thank Kami-sama. I thought I had lost you for a second time. Second time? Naruto asked, confused. 2 years after your disappearance, the Hokage gathered the village and declared that you kidnapped, and then he declared Uchiha. I cried for weeks. My clan elders pushed my father to brand me with the caged bird seal on me, but after your death, I trained and trained, and I've become a Juken master, one the likes my clan hasn't seen since my great-grandmother. Well, you've got impressive chakra, that much I can tell. However, I have to ask you something. What? Do you have someone who is precious to you? Well, there's you, my Amato Hanabi, and my two-san. Then you will grow very strong, Hinata. When someone has a person who is precious to them, it's only then that their true strength emerges. I've got a question for you if you will indulge me. All right, shoot. If you weren't dead, who trained you? I know that you didn't have the Sharingan before. My grandfather, Madara Uchiha, he helped to make me strong. What did Kurenai-sensei make you see that sent you into a rage like that? You see, 2 years ago, my grandfather was dying. The force that had keep him alive was failing him, and as such, he wanted to die on his terms, not on anyone else's. So while I slept, he crept into the room that I slept in and tried to plunge a kunai into my heart. But my reaction time and instincts kicked in, and I dodged the blow, disarmed him, and plunged the same kunai into Madaraji's heart. His last words were, "Naruto, forgive me." Then he dropped dead, and I unlocked these cursed eyes. Naruto activated his Iron no Mangekyo. What is that? My Iron no Mangekyo Sharingan. You see, over time, the regular Mangekyo would go blind, cutting off the light from the user's eyes forever, but you can avoid this by transplanting the eyes of a direct relative. Unlocked the final form of these eyes. My original eyes are gone. I disposed of them. I don't want them falling into anyone else's hands. Naruto started looking at Hinata. It's been fun, Hinata, but I've got to go. Naruto smiled, then he leapt off towards where Haku was waiting. Naruto handed Haku the herbs, then went for a walk. After a while of walking, Naruto came across one of Gado's hidden hideouts by complete accident. Naruto saw Gado and an army of thugs walking into the hideout, and Naruto decided to follow Gado, and he activated his Sharingan while concealing his chakra. So according to the Haku, Brad Zabuza will be back in business within the week. Now the moment those Konoha shinobi weaken Zabuza and his cronies, we finish them, then sell the girls on the slave market. Gato said to his gang of thugs, "But you're to bring me the Hyuga girl. I'm going to break her in personally." Naruto was seething at this point, but managed to suppress his chakra, but he'd heard enough and shunshined to the hideout. When he arrived, Naruto immediately went to Zabuza, who was sitting up in bed. "On Naruto, did you bring the herbs I asked for?" Haku said as he gave Zabuza some tea to drink. "Yeah, I did, but I'm afraid I've come across a very important piece of information. And then there's something I need your help with, Zabuza-sensei." "What's the news?" Haku asked. "Gato plans to betray us after you recover." "How do you know?" Zabuza asked. "I overheard him talking to an army of thugs. Here, let me show you." Naruto activated his Sharingan and cast his Jinjutsu on Zabuza, showing him the memory. "What do we do, Zabuza-sensei?" "Get Fu and we'll think on a plan." "Yes, Zabuza-sensei." Naruto left and walked to Fu's room, then he knocked on the door. "What is it?" Fu's voice came from behind the door. "Zabuza-sensei want to see us for an update on our mission." "All right, give me a minute." Fu walked out, and then she and Naruto walked to Zabuza and Haku. Just then Naruto sensed Zetsu's chirka nearby. "Zabuza-sensei, Haku. Fu, I need to talk to someone, but if I'm right, he can help us." "All right, Naruto, but hurry up," Zabuza responded. Naruto nodded and walked outside, and Zetsu rose up out of the ground. "What news do you have to report, Zetsu?" "Obito is on the move." Black Zetsu responded. "He's headed to Kirigakure to take advantage of the Sanbai Jinchuriki and weaken them by waging war on the Kekkei Jinkai users. Keep me posted on his movements." "Yes, Naruto-sama," White Zetsu said. "Before you go, I need your help with something." "What do you need, Naruto-sama?" "Bring me 3 white Zetsu clones, and then I'll need you to have them wrapped around 3 hinged wood clones after they merge with their chakra." "Yes, Naruto-sama." White Zetsu has 3 white Zetsu clones rise up from the ground. "Follow me," Naruto commanded. Naruto and the Zetsu and the clones walked back into the room, and Zabuza, Haku, and Fu looked confused. "This is Zetsu. Say hi, Zetsu." "Hi, Zetsu." "Knock it off," Black Zetsu scolded. "Why are you here?" Zabuza asked. "I am an ally of Naruto-sama. His orders are to help you 3. If you would place your hand on the white Zetsu clones, we can begin." Zabuza, Haku, and Fu placed their hands on the clones, and they absorbed the chakra and morph into exact replicas of the shinobi the clones touched. "Now's it my turn." Naruto started weaving hand signs. Mokuton Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto forms 3 wood clones. "Zetsu, use your clones and wrap around the clones, and I'll do the rest." "Yes, Naruto-sama," White Zetsu says, and then the closes unravel themselves and then wrap themselves around the clones. Naruto starts weaving the same hand signs his grandfather used. "Ninpo, Hata Yugo no Jutsu." The three clones glowed in the same blue that Naruto glowed when Madara preformed the jutsu. Then when the clones opened their eyes, they all had the Sharingan. Then they all shifted to the Mangekyo. Now we need to spend the next few days training the clones in your fighting styles so they can flawlessly take your places in the battle against Kakashi and his allies. Right, Fu said. But what is this plan exactly? These clones take your place in the battle, allowing us to deliver the final strike to Gato when I dispel the clones. All right, let's do this. Fu smiled. Time skipped 6 days later. Naruto and the Zetsuwood clones picked their gear and ran off towards the bridge. When they arrived, the Zabuza clone attacked the workers, knocking them out. Kirigakure no Jutsu. Zabuza. With Kakashi, Kurenai, Sasuke, Hinata, Sakura, Kiba, and Akamaru. On your guard, you two. This mist is chakra-laced. Kakashi says. I knew he was still alive, he just couldn't wait for round 2. Sorry I kept you waiting, Kakashi. A voice calls from the mist that is all too familiar to all of them. Next to Kakashi, Sasuke started trembling. I see that boy is still trembling, how pathetic. I'm trembling with excitement. Sasuke says. Just then 10 Zabuzas appear around them. Sasuke, do it. Kakashi says, and Sasuke nods, then with a swift series of movements takes down all the Mizu Bunshin and they burst into the puddle. I can see it. Oh, you could see they were water clones. The brat is improving. Looks like you've got a rival, Haku. Zabuza says. So it seems. Haku says. Well, so I had it right. Kakashi says. It was all an act. An act? Tazuna says, confused. With a cute little mask. Big phony. Sasuke glares. So I guess being a tracker ninja protecting her village was just a bunch of bull. Tazuna says. They look pretty chummy. I'd say that they've been pulling scams like that for a long time. Kakashi says. Then Hinata glares at Haku, Byakugan blazing. And hiding behind a mask, who does he think he's fooling? Speak for yourself, sensei. Hinata smiles. That's it, I'm taking him out. Sasuke glares. He is quite the man. Even if a water clone has only 10% of the original person's power, he dealt with them nicely. Haku says. We've made the first move, now attack. Zabuza says. Yes, Zabuza-sama. Haku steps and starts spinning, and Sasuke blocks the Senbon with a kunai. He caught up with Haku's speed, impressive. Zabuza says. Hinata, stick with Tazuna-san and don't get too far from me. Let Sasuke handle this. Kakashi says. Haku and Sasuke start spinning, clashing kunai to Senbon over and over. I don't want to kill you, but you won't back off, right? Haku asks. What are you, stupid? Sasuke asked. As I thought, but you be able to keep up with me or my next move. And I'm already 2 steps ahead of you. 2 steps ahead. The first one is the water on the ground, and the second one is that I'm keeping one of your arms busy, so you're only able to take and block my attacks. Haku raises her hand and starts weaving hand signs with a single hand. Hand signs with only one hand. Kakashi's eyes widen in shock. Hayatan, Sensatsu Susho, Haku stomps the ground, and the water that was left from the water clones dispelling rose up and formed into 1,000 needles and surround Sasuke and Haku. I don't want to kill you, he said, but is that what she really thinks? Zabuza thinks as he observes the battle unfold. Sasuke. Sakura shouts in concern, her crush. Sasuke closes his eyes and starts to focus his chakra, and then Haku leaps back just before the attack connects and Sasuke leaps into the air. However, in the explosion of water, Haku fails to notice this. When Haku looks back at where Sasuke was, she didn't Sasuke anywhere. He disappeared. Just then Haku looks up and sees Sasuke floating there, kunai in hand. Then he throws a few shuriken at Haku, who leaps back to avoid them. Just then Sasuke appears right behind Haku. You're pretty slow. Now you can only receive and block my attacks. Both Haku and Sasuke move in a blur of speed and end up in crossed arm position. Then Sasuke smirks as he throws his kunai, and Haku ducks to dodge it, but only ends up walking right into Sasuke's kick, which blasts her back towards Zabuza. Haku lost in a contest of speed. Zabuza thinks in shock, then he looks at Sasuke. Looks like my speed is just a bit faster. You shouldn't underestimate my team just because they're kids. Kakashi smiles. Sasuke here is a true prodigy of the Hidden Leaf Village. Hinata here is a true Juken master, so you know the battle prowess of the Hyuga clan. Zabuza starts chuckling. Haku, do you understand that you're going to get defeated like this? Zabuza asks. Yes. Haku responds as his chakra pours out of him. What is that? Sasuke stares in wonder. It's a shame. That's cold air. Haku makes a single hand sign, and ice mirrors starts to form all around Sasuke. Makio Hyosho. Hey, I like this attack, I can see myself everywhere. Sasuke thinks as he looks around. Then the mirrors glow as Haku steps forward. What is that technique? Kakashi thinks in fear. Then Haku steps into one of the mirrors, and his reflection starts to appear everywhere. These are mirrors. What does he plan to do? Damn it! Kakashi curses as he starts to run forward. Then in a blur of speed, Zabuza appears in front of Kakashi. I'm your opponent, remember? He's a goner now that Haku has used that technique. Let's begin. I will show you my true speed. Haku says as she lifts his arms and starts throwing tons of Senbon at Sasuke, so fast that Sasuke can keep up with speed of the blows. Sasuke, Kakashi shouts as more and more attacks connect, and the kunai in his hand flies out of his grip and embeds itself into the ground, not too far from Hinata and Tazuna. Sasuke screams in pain as more Senbon slice at his skin. Don't even think of moving, because if you do, I will kill the two behind you, Zabuza says. Sakura looks at Tazuna, then back at Sasuke trapped in the dome. I'm sorry, Tazuna-san, but I have to leave for a few seconds, Sakura says. Tazuna nods at Sakura. Go, I won't stop you, Tazuna responds. Sakura runs forward, the kunai in her hand. Sasuke heads up. Sakura calls out as she throws the kunai to her fallen teammate. However, before the kunai can reach its intended recipient, it is snatched out of the air by Haku, and Sasuke's legs give out beneath him. He caught it, damn. Sakura thinks in despair, but just as Haku re-enters the mirror. Hinata was watching the confrontation. Just then Hinata sensed Naruto's churka behind her and Tazuna. Hakusho. 8 trigrams air palm. Hinata shouts, and then Naruto gets blasted back, and then he lands on his feet. Nicely done, Hinata, you're strong, I think I will dance with you for a while. Naruto draws his gun by and charges Hinata, who charges chakra erupting from her palms. Hinata starts striking at Naruto, who dodges her strikes thanks to his Sharingan. You're good, Naruto-kun, but why work for a man like Gato? I need the money. Naruto responds as dodges another strike. Why don't you come back to Konoha with me? Even if I did, what would there be for me? The civilian council has declared my Kia Day a national holiday. They would just hunt me down and try to kill me. Tusan can protect you, just come back, you haven't seen what the village is like. The Hokage is not the same man he used to be. If it weren't for the clan heads threatening civil war, if Danzo or anyone calls for an incompetency hearing, Danzo would have replaced the Sande. If that's the state of the village, then there's nothing for me. The moment I walk into that village, I'll be held on trial for abandonment. As I said, Konoha holds nothing but pain and regrets for me. Naruto, please. Hinata pleaded, tears cascading from her eyes. Naruto vanished and pinned her to the ground. This is all part of a plan that I concocted with Zabuza-sensei. But for it to work, Gato has to show up. As for your offer, I'm weighing my options, but for now you need to be unconscious. Good night, Hinata-chan. Naruto tapped her on the back of her neck, knocking Hinata out. Getsuga. Naruto jumped up, activating his Mangekyo. Well, in Inuzuka, this will be an interesting dance. Naruto drew his gun by. What is your fascination with dancing? My grandfather trained me well. Now I can't really get my adrenaline flowing, but if you think you can get it flowing again, then I will call this a fight. Akamaru. Arf. Akamaru came rocketing towards Naruto, who dodged and then weaved hand signs. Katan. Ryuin Hoka no Jutsu. Fire style, Dragon Flame Caterwall. That's Madara Uchiha's jutsu. I told you my grandfather taught me well. Just then Naruto heard the chirping of birds, and Naruto backhanded Kiba with Susanoo and saw Kakashi with lightning with his hand. Raikiri. Kakashi roared, lightning blade. Naruto saw the jutsu with his Sharingan and copied the technique, and with the technique copied, understanding bloom, Naruto charged and slammed the palm of his Susanoo between the two, separating them with force of the impact. Sorry, Kakashi Hitaki, but I can't let you kill Zabuza-sensei. Why Naruto? What has he done to inspire such loyalty in you? He treated me like a person instead of some monster. Naruto, your village misses you. Hinata misses you. Come back. Just then Naruto and the others heard a slow asshole clap as Gato and an army of thugs came into view. Well, 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 looks the Kirigakure no Kijin was just a baby demon after all. Seems you were right, Naruto, Zabuza said as he and the real Haku and Fu came jumping down from a lookout tower. How? Never heard of clones? Naruto asked Madara factly. You really should keep shinobi guards, especially if you plan to betray your employees. Naruto shook his head. Kakashi, stand down, we are no longer your enemies. Naruto channeled chakra into his Susanoo and fired off a string of Yatsaka Mangatamas at the thug army, obliterating them in seconds. Can someone please explain what's going on? Kiba shouted. We knew of Gato's plan to betray us, so I made some Mokutan bunshins to fool him, but I guess my Haku clone went overboard, sorry, but the Uchiha's pretty banged up, but he'll live. How did you know? I spied on him and figured it out. Naruto said matter-of-factly. But now you said you wanted me to return to Konoha, but I will only do so under one condition. If Zabuza, Haku, and Fu can join me there. I'll talk to Sarutobi-sama. By the way, I raided Gato's vault, and I'm giving the money to the Nami no Kuni as recompense for all the damage I've caused. Tazuna's eyes welled up with tears. Time skipped 2 weeks. Naruto and the others had helped finish the bridge, then the group of 12 walked back. Hinata looked at Naruto, who was walking an aura of power radiating off him. You know, Hinata, if you want to talk to me, just say something, I'm not that hard to approach. Naruto joked. Well, sorry, mister, I'm Madara, Uchiha's fucking grandson. It's just this is the first time I've seen you in 8 years, and you've grown handsome. Why do you care about some nobody when a perfect hunk of man like Sasuke-kun right here? Sakura asked. Shut up, Sakura, unless you want to be ashes before we get back to Konoha. Naruto growled. So Naruto, what's Madara like? Kiba asked. He was a kind and caring man, but a slave driver when he wanted to be, and no matter how many times I think about him, I have nothing but admiration for him. He was the first and the last family I had in this world, and now he's gone. Naruto got a sad look on his face. Dobe, I demand you teach me everything Madara taught you. Sasuke said. I won't dance with you, Sasuke Uchiha. You are far too arrogant. My grandfather would be ashamed to know he's related to someone like you. How dare you? I'm an elite among the Uchiha. No, you are a weakling. Your chakra levels are barely above Chunin level. Dancing with you would be absurd and pointless, and this is the last I'll say on the subject. How dare dash? Naruto shut Sasuke up by blasting him with an intense, focused blast of Ki. If you insist on dancing with me, then I will kill you, plain and simple. Sasuke made the wise decision not to say anything, but simply grunted, and they continued walking. Time skip 8 hours later. Naruto, Haku, Kakashi, Fu and Zabuza were in Sarutobi's office, while said man's eyes were welling up with tears. Naruto, you're alive, Sarutobi said as he hugged his surrogate grandson. I'm alive, Gigi, but not for long if the civilian council has anything to say about it. Naruto said. Where were you these past 8 years? I was with my grandfather. He trained me in everything I know, but now he's dead. Naruto got a sad look on his face. Who is your grandfather? Madara, Uchiha. What? Sarutobi yelled. Calm down, Gigi, I can prove it. Naruto activated his Sharingan, then channeled more chakra, shifting it to his Iron no Mangekyo Sharingan. What is that? My Iron no Mangekyo Sharingan, I unlocked it when killed Madara, Gigi. That's impossible. Madara died fighting Hashirama-sama. That's just it, he didn't die when he fought Hashirama. He survived the battle and had a child with his late wife, my grandmother, Rika Namikaze. Of course, that's why Jiraiya placed the seal on him. It was to protect him. If people learned that Madara had a son, they would stop at nothing to kill him. So you knew about the seals on Tucson? Yes, Jiraiya told me what they did, but why didn't you send a message to me telling me you were safe? Because Gigi cut me off from all outside contact and focused on all of my training. He made me strong. How did you leave the village undetected? Zetsu took me to Gigi. Now, Naruto, I believe you stated you wanted to join the village. I did, but only under the condition that Zabuza-sensei, Haku, and Fu are allowed to join too. Naruto, I can't offer sanction to Nuke Nin. If you let them join, I'll tell you a secret on how to defeat paperwork. Sarutobi tossed Fu, Haku, and Zabuza forehead protectors so fast they barely had time to react and grab the forehead protectors. Tell me. Sarutobi shook Naruto's shoulders. It's actually quite simple. When confronted with two enemies you can't turn your back on, it's better to look in two directions at once so they can't sneak up on you. Naruto says cryptically, Realm of the Afterlife. Yami and CJ were playing shogi against one another when a loud "eh" was heard from down in the mortal plane. Naruto just told old Sarutobi the secret of paperwork, didn't he? Yami asks. Yep. CJ responds, placing his silver general up with continuing with his climbing silver stratagem. Think we should do something about it? Nope. Back with Sarutobi. Sarutobi's eyes widen in shock. Then he walks back to his desk and opens it and pulls out a small wooden plank with the words, when you find the answer to something simple, hit here. The plank showed a small target board with a chibi Jiraiya holding it. Stupid, 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 stupid. Sarutobi banks his head on the plank over and over again in understanding. Shadow clones, of course. Sarutobi says, looking at the evil pile of paperwork. Huh, huh. You fiends, I have the instrument of your demise at last. Sarutobi cackles evilly. The secretary heard the laugh from outside and thought, I think the Hokage has finally lost it. She thinks. Back with Naruto and the others. After Sarutobi had calmed down, he looked at Zabuza. Zabuza, Fu, since you're both Nuke Nin, you are both on a 1-month probation period, but you can participate in the upcoming Chunin exams if you want. Are you saying I'm a genin? Zabuza growled. No, I meant was you are now a squad of shinobi with you, as Jounin-sensei the probation wears of at the time of Chunin exam recommendation time. If you want to recommend them, I won't stop you. In the meantime, you four can't participate in mission until after the Chunin exams. Far enough. Zabuza shrugged. You are now Team 11 of Konoha. Hi Hokage-sama. Naruto, Haku, Fu and Zabuza bowed to Sarutobi, then they left the office. I'm gonna go train with Kurama a bit. Naruto said. Are you sure it's Kurama you're training with? I saw the way you were eyeing that Hyuga Kunoichi. Zabuza said, stifling a laugh at Naruto's blush. Shut up. Naruto growled, then he ran off towards the Hyuga clan compound.